Hey guys, this is Substitute Topher here for TheTopher, and today, thanks to my buddy Sean and Kouth and Mayer, we are driving a 1991 Nissan Figaro. This is the first right-hand drive car I've ever driven, so excited to take this for a spin today, and we'll kind of just go through some ownership impressions, talk about what it's been like to own this thing, because you've owned it for...
I've owned it for about 6 months.
Okay,
yeah.
So we'll talk about that and just kind of some of the weird little things about this car. But before we do that, let's hop out and take a little walk around it and just take a look at the exterior. So this is finished in lapis, and that was the
lapis gray. It's the winter color.
The winter color. Cool. We'll do a quick walk around and then we'll hop back in and we'll go for a drive. It's a very peculiar styling.
Yeah, you know, you've got some 50s, you've got some 60s in there, but ultimately in Japan, where they exclusively sold these cars, it was supposed to be cute, and that is what sold back in the 90s, and people wanted to go with a classic thing, and this was a classic thing, that's for sure. Right,
yeah, so this spent the first 20 some odd years of its life in Japan, and then it was brought over here, and now it belongs to you. So they planned on only making 8,000 of these, but the demand was so high that they made 20,000?
Yep, an additional 12,000 more were made. The first 8,000 were sold in a lottery system. You had to actually apply to get one, and a lot of people didn't, and they were upset. They really wanted these cars, and Nissan listened to what they said, and I'm sure they probably made a pretty penny on a few of them.
Right.
And got them sold.
Sweet, man. Well, let's take a quick peek under the hood at this little 990cc 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. What's power output?
It's not much. It's about 80 horsepower.
Okay. And of course the hood opens the proper way.
Correct.
There it is, little 990cc engine just plucking away. It runs so smooth.
Just like a sewing machine.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Except the sewing machine makes more power.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool guys, let's go ahead and take this Figaro for a drive and see what it's like on the road. There are a couple of things to keep in mind when you're driving a right-hand drive vehicle like this. For one, the turn signal stalk is on the right-hand side of the steering wheel, so obviously us Americans are programmed to just go in with our left hand for our blinker, but I learned pretty quick today, just kind of picked up on it. It's interesting to me how fast you pick up on driving right-hand drive.
Yeah, a lot of people tell me that they could never see themselves driving one of these or a right-hand drive car in general because they think it would be difficult. And you know, the first time that I got in it, I was just thrilled with how fun it was to drive and how many kind of goofy looks I got from people that were shocked to see I was on the wrong side in their opinion. Right. But seriously easy to drive, seriously easy to get used to, and I think that just like all other Japanese domestic vehicles, it was designed for ease, and they got that right. They
certainly did, and part of that ease is this 3-speed automatic transmission. I think a thing that scares people a lot about right-hand drive cars is the fact that if it's a manual transmission, they have to shift with their left hand. And this kind of takes that away. I see this as a really good starting point if you want to get into the world of right-hand drive cars.
I agree. I have always said if I have transmission trouble with this car in the future, I will get a manual transmission, but that's just my own personal preference. Okay. I think that Figaros in general, with the automatic, it does not detract from the enjoyment of driving. And my fiance, who does not drive a manual transmission car, she loves the simplicity of this 3-speed automatic as well.
Right. Though I will say it is not as slow as I was expecting.
It is turbocharged, and I think that kind of helps. You know, this engine was in the Nissan Micra. The Micra is a little bit heavier than the Figaro. You could also find this engine in the Nissan POW. And those little cars that were all made in the same factory at the same time, they're tiny. They're tiny. They don't really need a whole lot of horsepower to move them. And speaking of those other little cars, this is just the best of that breed.
Oh yeah, easily.
It is the best looking. It is the most fun. You've got the drop top, which is just seriously, just makes for a very charming, enjoyable drive. And it's attractive to more than just car people.
Right. Yeah, and these were all fitted with this roof, right?
Correct. None
Okay.
of them were hardtop.
Okay.
Or, well, actually, it is a hard shell all the way around. You've
Yeah,
got,
I've been hitting my head on this.
yeah, you don't just have an A pillar and a B pillar. You actually have a whole window frame of sorts that is a little bit safer than maybe a full convertible.
Right. So honestly, my first impression, my overall sort of feel for this car is that it's the furthest thing from intimidating, and you get in here and it's got light steering, it's got a super approachable accelerator and brake pedal feel, and like I said earlier, after you drive this thing for 5 minutes, you forget that you're even in a right-hand drive car.
Yep.
There's just nothing to it. Like,
yeah, you know, all the controls are right there at your fingertip. Everything is very ergonomically designed and laid out, and it's absolutely not intimidating. I mean, look at the car.
Charlie and I were talking earlier about how you could probably cut somebody off in this car in traffic, and they wouldn't be able to get mad because
Yep.
it's just such a cute little thing.
They would probably laugh.
Right, exactly. So where do I go here?
You'll go right.
Go right, okay. I have trained myself. I'm going to get back in one of the BMWs tomorrow, and I'm going to be putting the wipers on trying to do my turn signal.
Yep, I've done that a handful of times. I also, after 6 months of driving this car, and almost exclusively driving this car on the nicest of days, I still sometimes get in on the wrong side.
It makes a cool noise.
It does.
Yeah, it's a fun little noise. It's actually a very smooth shifting transmission as well.
I agree.
Yeah. Also,
Just keep on going straight.
these seats kind of remind me of boat seats.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, all of the materials in this car are almost a multi-weather friendly kind of material, if that makes any
So
sense.
if you accidentally leave the roof down.
That's kind of the way I feel. You know, having owned Porsches, Mercedes, Audis, and stuff like that, you would never want weather to get into the interior. But this car,
Right.
honestly, I don't think it would mind it too badly. Everything
Right.
would just wipe away.
So we've got 50s, 60s design, 90s technology, and just an overall like nautical vibe on the interior of this car. Hello.
What kind of car is that?
It's a Nissan Figaro.
Really?
It's from Japan.
Where is it?
1991. Yep. Also, as I just put that window down,
You'll
the
want to
windows.
get in front of him and go in this right lane.
Okay. The window switches are like clamshells.
Yes, everything in this
Seashells?
car.
Get over here, you
yep.
said?
Everything in this car, all of the little buttons and dials and stuff, are some way, shape, or form seashell themed. I do
Okay.
not know what the reasoning for that was,
Okay.
but it was in all of them. And like the shape of this door handle escutcheon, for example,
Okay.
is also the same shape. Now, you'll go straight through here. I want to mention the fact that guy asked what kind of car this was. I get that every single time that I drive this car. I get stopped or waved at or pointed at or chased even with people saying, "What is that?" They just have no idea what it is. And I love that. It seriously is so fun. My dad, who, you know, obviously loves fine cars, this car, when I told him this is what I'm going to go and find, he was like, "Why?" And I said, "Nobody will know what it is, and nobody else will have one." And so far, I've been right.
There you go. And that's a big factor of just what makes this car so cool, and what
Yep.
makes these so cool. Also,
Yeah.
the horn sounds. What word would you use to describe the horn? I think we've used cute too much.
Yeah. The
Nostalgic?
viewers need to comment.
Yeah.
The viewers need to comment.
Give us an adjective.
What would you use to describe this little meep meep horn?
Yeah, this thing's really cool. I went into this not expecting to like this car as much as I do, and we're gonna get overtaken at the last second here. Okay, but yeah, even these gauges here, they're just very plain white face gauges. And I also want to mention 59,000 kilometers, which is about what, 35,000 miles.
That's about right. Yeah.
Even these are like boat-ish.
Yeah.
Kind of. So.
Yep. And I think that a lot of that, Chris, is just that it is old.
Yeah.
It's old style.
It's true.
You'll go straight through.
Straight again. Okay. You wouldn't happen to know tire size on this, would you?
It is a 12-inch tire. It is a 12-inch rim and tire. The sidewall is not very tall. It is not a tire you want to hit potholes with.
Okay. Yeah, they'll start squeaking it right around 15, 20 miles an hour around the corner. So.
Yep, they certainly will. Another thing I want to point out is just all of the Japanese writing.
Oh, yeah.
Again, this car was only sold in the Japanese market.
Okay.
And so another thing that's kind of odd then is that all of this English on the climate control.
Yes.
And also the fact that it says face and foot instead of forward and down.
Right.
For the climate control settings.
All right, well, any last sort of things you want to mention? This is really just kind of a quick little first impressions drive of this Figaro. Hopefully, you know, I'll be back again and we can drive it again, but it's been a really cool little experience here driving.
These cars are really just designed for fun. You know, they are designed to put a smile on your face. They're not designed to be fast. They're not supposed to win any kind of races. You know, it's not the most luxurious car. It's not anything other than a point A to point B around the town little car that you can enjoy and that I can throw the keys to anybody I want.
Right.
You know, as much as I enjoy sharing this with you, especially because you're a friend of mine, anybody who had interest in one of these cars and said, hey, I want to take it for a spin, they just ask, and I'll give them a chance. It seriously is just a car that I want everybody to experience and enjoy.
Well, cool. Well, thank you again for allowing me to experience this thing. We'll do one last walk around on the exterior of this Figaro, and then that'll be it for today. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this slightly different video. We don't often drive cars with the steering wheel on this side, or cars of this nature at all. So, cool. Do you know what any of this means?
I hope I don't need to find out.
What a thing this is. Cool, guys. Well, thank you all so much for watching, and thanks again to Sean and Kauthen Mayer here in Peoria, Illinois, for letting us have a go in this Nissan Figaro. So that'll wrap it up for us today. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.